Dr. Williams, I'm hoping you could describe to us what you see as the opportunity for culturally inclusive garden-based learning. How has the need for culturally inclusive garden-based learning evolved over your years of working in youth gardens?
Let's just kind of pause a little bit and think about when we talk about culturally responsive learning in the garden, when we talk about diversity and inclusion in the garden, why is that so critical, right? It isn't just about, oh, here is a text and you take it and you go out and teach. It's who you teach that matters. Who is the audience? Who is going to be, interacting with you and with the land and with the biological, life that is there in the garden. And if we look at the last census data that we have, that I've come across, there are about 350 languages spoken at home in the United States. People may not be aware of that. And we are a land of so much cultural diversity. We have increasingly had migrant students, immigrant students, and of course, refugees, correct? And much of my work has been in areas of Portland, where we've seen a growth in the culturally diverse populations. And it's important to sort of remember that there are these languages that are still being spoken at home, and that English is the dominant language, through which we teach. It's the medium of instruction. And it's important to understand, I think, that language is the essence of culture. And if we lose language, we actually lose culture. And it is really important to recognize that when we talk about diversity, we need to remember that what is important in our work in garden-based education is both biological diversity and cultural diversity. And that is what is biocultural diversity, right? And that is the essence of our work, is to recognize that diversity is essential for resilience. If we had a monoculture in the garden, we will find that there'll be problems, right? Just as we've seen with monocrops and so on and so forth, monoculture of crops in farmlands. Similarly, in the garden, there has to be so much to focus on in terms of diversity. No two gardens can be alike in two different schools, for instance. And that is something to value. That is important. So I believe that when you talk about the need, your question was, how do you see that increasing need that is emerging? And I think that when we look at the student population and the communities that we serve, it is important to remember that culture is the essence of how we interact, what we interact about, and gardens provide a fabulous medium where the biological diversity and cultural diversity can be on. And we don't want to just say, we want to bring that together, we want to honor that, and to realize that we are all learning in the process. No one has all the answers, correct? I always say, when people say, oh, when teachers come to me and say, but I don't know how to garden, I want to, but I don't know how to. And I always say, as you garden, the garden will teach you, right? We learn from the garden. Nobody has all the know-how and the skills and the expertise. It is through interaction that we learn. And I think that's the same with cultural responsiveness to cultures, different cultures, and different students. So I would say, remembering that language is the essence of culture, that biological diversity and cultural diversity have to be honored. They both go together, and that what our kids bring, culturally diverse kids bring to our schools, to our land, to the gardens, through their ancestral knowledge, through their parental knowledge from other cultures, is important to listen to and learn from as we engage.